Welcome back to a new video. First, I want to thank everyone for the great feedback on my previous video about the Zvezda Z-142 Hercules, the largest model I've ever built. As I mentioned there, my next project was the smallest 72nd scale aircraft I've built so far, the KP Zlin Z-142. This kit was kindly sent to me by my subscriber Stanislav from the Czech Republic. Thanks again! Stanislav is also a talented modeler on YouTube, so be sure to check out his channel. I will put a link in the description. Stanislav, who serves in the Czech Air Force, has even flown in this particular aircraft, and I was really honored to build it for him. The kit offers decal options for Czech, Algerian and Cuban aircraft. While the other schemes looked interesting, I naturally chose the Czech Air Force version. All the decals looked good, but had large carrier films around them. The mold itself is simple, with around 30 parts only. Also, the parts are quite thick and the surfaces felt a bit rough. But the recessed panel lines provided sufficient detail and there was no flash. After finishing the massive and quite complex Hercules, this straightforward kit was exactly what I needed, so I dove right into it. The cockpit was very basic with just a few parts. The dimensions seemed off though. Placing two 72nd scale figures next to the seats revealed a very cozy cockpit. After removing tons of excess material, I finally managed to fit the instrument panel. The canopy dimensions also felt a bit odd, but after some adjustments, the fuselage halves fit decently. I added poster tack as a nose weight, closed the fuselage and filled the gaps along the joints, smoothing them with a sanding stick and sandpaper. Next I assembled the wings. The fit also wasn't perfect, so I used putty, my hobby knife and sanding sticks to clean up the gaps. Attaching the wings to the fuselage was tricky due to the real aircraft's slightly upward and forward wing angle. This required some patience. For the first time I tried AK markers. To my surprise, they were quite handy, especially the black marker for wheels and larger cockpit details. I also used a metallic marker for this antenna or pitot tube. While I wouldn't buy the whole set, certain colors like black and metallic are quite useful. Before closing the canopy, I polished it with Tamiya's polishing compounds for a shiny finish. Masking the canopy was challenging due to the complex shapes, but it fit nicely afterward. After priming, I experimented with blue paints from my stash. I started with a light blue base, then masked the camo patterns with poster tack. For the second color I used the blue from Revell Aqua. Although I usually avoid airbrushing Revell paints, it was the best match I had. After masking, mixing, cleaning and correcting some areas, I still wasn't satisfied with the contrast between the two colors. So I mixed a lighter blue and sprayed thin layers over the model to tone down the contrast. More or less satisfied with the camo, I masked the wingtips and stabilizers, airbrushing them with Mr. Color Yellow. Then I mounted the remaining parts. For the front landing gear I drilled a hole in the fuselage for a more secure fit. A drop of superglue fixed any wobbling. The main undercarriage struts were fiddly due to small attachment points. I also realized I hadn't added enough nose weight. To fix this, I made an opening behind the propeller and stuffed in some fishing weights. A hassle, but it improved the balance. Finally, I attached this antenna or pitot tube, completing the build. Applying the decals was next. Due to the large carrier film, I cut them out as close as possible to avoid silvering. These stripe decals were tricky because they crossed over engine covers, so I cut them into separate pieces for better placement. The result isn't perfect, but painting the lines seemed like more trouble than it was worth. Once the decals were on, I applied a thin acrylic wash to accent panel lines and recesses. Then gently cleaned it off with cotton buds to avoid an overly weathered look. After removing the canopy masking, I polished the clear parts once again with Tamiya compounds and brushed on looks like glass. I've been using this product on my last few models, but I'm still not entirely convinced of it, as the difference is marginal. And that wraps up the KP Zlin Z-142 in 70-second scale. There were some challenges. The out-of-scale cockpit, fitting issues with the canopy, fuselage and wings, the difficulty in finding somewhat accurate paint colors, and the need for extra nose weight in the end. But honestly, solving these little problems is what modeling is all about. It was a nice change from the large and part-heavy Hercules. Thanks again to Stanislav for sending this kit. Check out his channel and let him know that I sent you. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for future projects. I'm already working on new builds, so follow me on Facebook and Instagram for updates. Have a great day and goodbye!